As a child, my mother would always read to me at night before I went to bed, like a lot of parents did for their kids. She would start out reading books that were for children, like Goodnight Moon and Brown Bear, Brown Bear. Then, as I got older, she would read me more advanced books, like The Giving Tree, Tale of Despereaux, and a classic, Magic Tree House. However, as the years went by, my mom became too busy with her work, and I became too busy with my own schoolwork to read every night, so my love of reading slowly began to decline. In grade school, I can remember us being forced to sit down and read if the weather is too bad to go outside on the playground. I absolutely dreaded those days. I would much rather have been outside, running around, and playing with friends than quietly sitting in the most uncomfortable of all plastic chairs, reading some dumb book. My first year of middle school wasn't that fantastic either when it came to reading. I had gotten into one series for a while, the Warrior series, which revolved around talking cats who lived in 4 different clans away from any human interaction. Those books only interested me because I love animals, especially cats, so why wouldn't I read them? Although I had found a love in these books, my interest soon began to die down again. It was almost like it was just a phase I was going through, one that didn't last very long. It wasn't until 7th grade that I found the spark for reading that finally grew into a flame. I walked into my science class, located in the annex building of my middle school, which was attached by a skywalk, on a typical Monday morning. The red-eared slider turtle in the humming tank beside the door was the first little face that I saw, but it was not the only one who caught my eye. A stranger who was not my teacher was in the room, a middle-aged woman who was short in stature. She had the kindest eyes and the calmest demeanor, and her name was Miss Williams. As I later found out, she was going to be one of the chaperones for our field trip to camp. She was to get to know us better, so we would feel more comfortable around her, just as we were supposed to. A few of my friends did just that. We sat with her one day at lunch, and through our conversation, which was filled with multiple random topics, such as family, interests, pets, and everything, we began to talk about books, since she was a retired English teacher. And boy, did she have a passion for English and all types of literature. I can imagine that she was a wonderful teacher back in the day, the kind that I would have looked up to. She asked us if we had read any good books lately, and when she turned to me, my reply probably was disappointing, not only to her, but to me as well. I said that I had not read a good book since at least the beginning of last year. Ouch. Hearing that myself really got on my own nerves. The fact that I hadn't read a good book in over a year was such an upset. We got to talking about it, and she told me that she had a daughter who was in my exact predicament. Nonfiction was not her favorite, just like me. She hated the books she was assigned to read in school, like me, and she couldn't find any books that interested her, just like me. So what happened, you asked? Miss Williams offered to let me borrow a book that her daughter fell in love with. The book was called Vampire Academy, a book you may have heard of since there was the movie, which was not as good. The copy she gave me was all beat up and had slight tears in it, and the crinkled and everything, but the picture on the front pulled me in like a light in a dark room. It was dark and mysterious. The girl on the front looked like she could have caused trouble and mischief. That was the first moment I realized, hey, maybe I will like this book. And I can proudly say that this is my favorite book even to this day. I read that one 332-page book in 3 days or less, and was more than ready to jump into the next one. I read the next 3 books within a week, which showed how much I was addicted to them. I had never read a series so fast in my life, and then been so frustrated when I had to wait a whole 7 months until the next book came out, and then another 7 months for the very last book to come out. But right when it did come out, I asked my mom to drive me to Barnes & Noble so I could buy the last book, and I enjoyed every last word of it. I would have probably gone through all 6 books in the span of maybe 3 weeks if I didn't have to wait for the last 2 to come out. I have yet to find a series or even a single book since that series that sparked my interest as much as it did, but I'm hoping that I will find one soon. My love for reading was restored with that single series, which goes to show that reading is for everyone, but you just have to find the right series that makes you happy and engaged. I am really grateful to Miss Williams for helping me save my dying love of reading, because ever since that first book she gave me, I have been reading more than I ever used to.